Welcome back to the Vinyl Collective, your weekly journal of the hip-hop and R&B landscape. I'm your host, John.
And I'm your co-host, Topper. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
I have no comments to episode 28, really. I thought I was going to have one for each number, but I thought, you know what, fuck it, it's going to get old real quick.
28's a difficult one.
Yeah, but, it's like, I also been looking back, because I've been doing this podcast for like a good part of like 6 months now, 6.5 months, which is, time flies, right? And I thought, you know what, because a lot of people always tell me like, being a music snob, even though I wouldn't even call myself a music snob, I just like the best music.
I would.
Like, do you know what I mean? But whatever. Like, I don't really mind, right? So it's like, for me, it's like, I don't really care to listen to music that's half good or half baked, because I only have my ears for so long. You know, maybe I go deaf when I'm older. I don't really fucking know, right? So for me, I need to listen to as much of the best music as possible. That's all I care about. I don't care who it comes from. That's why I don't really have a personal connection to these artists. So if it was up to me, I would create a super league of sorts of all my favorite artists, right? And just listen to that all day and not give a fuck about that artist that has like one good hit like every 3 years. I don't have time for that. There's too much stuff to do in the day. Do you know what I mean? But whatever. So yeah, welcome to episode 28. Do you agree with that premise?
That was good. That was a nice that was a nice analogy. I appreciate that.
Do you agree with that premise? Are you that type of guy?
Kind of. Yeah, I get what you mean. Why wouldn't you just listen to great music all the time? But at the same time, I like to understand other people's points of view. So
yeah, that's fair.
In order to be like, why do you listen to this artist? Lil Baby being a great example. A couple of weeks ago, I had to put myself through a day of listening to his album on repeat. Safe to say, I don't understand those people any better than I did before, but I tried, and that's what you can do, isn't it? You can just do your best.
You're so crazy about that as well. You're so mental. Like, I was out for lunch with some of my mates, right, and like, they were literally explaining to me why Lil Baby is like the best rapper. And the part is, right, it's like the insane cognitive dissonance, right? Because in my head, I'm like, I can't believe this is the state we're in, where I have to just kind of concede that Lil Baby is like one of the best rappers in the world. Not because I believe it, it's because to some degree, numbers don't lie, right? Like, there's so many fucking people love this guy. So I'm just sitting there saying, I think we had a debate, right, where it was like, Lil Baby would wash Ab-Soul in a rap battle. And the fact is, I can see your face. The thing is, I don't agree, right? But the fact that I know there's people going about their day as working civilians who will believe that, it really hurts my spirit. It really hurts my spirit.
It hurts your soul. Right?
Yeah. Like, Lil Baby is one of those guys, like, I can't shit on him, but I just don't get it. I just don't think it's for me. But
obviously, numbers don't lie. He's obviously one of the biggest rappers. That doesn't mean he's one of the best rappers.
Yeah, of course.
But there you go.
Whatever. But anyways,
I guess people listening to this podcast will know, like, we have, a number of artists that we always mention. We're like, we're the biggest stans. So if you followed our journey, or if you know us personally, these guys are obsessed with Lil Sims. But obviously, she's released a track now, but we're gonna let it settle. We're gonna let it mellow a bit, and I mean, there'll be no mellowing topic. He's gonna be listened to every single day now, but we'll talk about it next week a little bit. But yeah, introvert. Yeah, you said she calls herself an introvert, doesn't she?
She does. But yeah, I mean, you guys know the content. There's a lot of things we're going to get to next week because we have a long fucking schedule. And we don't want to keep you guys for like fucking 2.5 hours. Maybe one of these days, isn't it? But today's not the day. Like, AJ Tracy's album, we'll talk about that as well. What the fuck else dropped? That was what we really wanted to talk about, actually. Yeah. But yeah, fuck that. We'll do it next week. Don't worry, it's on our radar. So yeah, let's just go straight into it, right? Let's just go straight to our artist spotlight. Let's not even fuck around. Yep. So this week we have Ravyn Lenae. So if you are quite a savant, like if you are like a seasoned like listener of that maybe neo R&B, neo soul, you might be like, wait, what? Ravyn Lenae? She's been around for years, and you'd be right. You're absolutely right. However, Ravyn Lenae, I feel like doesn't get the recognition I feel like she deserves, and part of it is somewhat her fault, but I think a lot of it is just that it just seems like when it came to that whole neo R&B movement that we were talking about like a few weeks ago, it just seems like she's the name that kind of just gets slipped under the rug. What do you think, John?
I agree. Yeah, I think I think massively. It's nothing to do with the quality of her music because she's made 3 great EPs. And something we realised, which, it might not mean anything to anyone that doesn't listen to her, but she's dropped 3 EPs on like consecutive years. She's 22 years of age and she hasn't released an EP in 3 years. Let that sink in.
That's pretty insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, because when you want to do the whole mock-up, like what we do on Instagram, right? And then obviously you're like, yeah, of course, like Ravyn going to be like, what, 26 now? Like she's been out for like 5 years now. Like, wait, what? She's 22. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I couldn't believe. So I was like, wait. So you start, everything starts to make sense, right? You're like, why hasn't she dropped an album? It's like, oh, holy shit, Moon Shoes came out when she was 17. Like, what? Like, and that's like polished enough. I was like, I would not expect that from like a 17-year-old. Like, I think a lot of teenagers just kind of expect them to kind of grow into it, like a Joey Badass, right? Or a Dave. You kind of think, okay, they're young, they show talent, whatever. But with her, it's like, bro, like very mature music. But then I think transitioning from like Moon Shoes and like I think it was like the Moonlight EP to Sticky. I mean the Crush EP, sorry, with Sticky on it. It makes so much more sense now because it's kind of like a Chloe and Halle thing, whereas like I was too young to make this type of music. It's just a bit weird. But now I'm like 18, 19. I was like, fuck it, let's just blow off the handle.
Yeah. No, I completely agree because like you were saying, that first EP came out and you're like, this is just like so well like packaged and like she's basically like a polished artist, right?
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but
not so true. Like she hasn't like what's the word? Is it like pigeonholed? Is that
she
doesn't like pigeonhole herself in like one very specific small kind of like sound. Obviously, like the artist we had the other week, like Hope Tyler, she has like a very definitive sound.
Yeah.
But obviously with Ravyn and Lenae being so young, it makes sense, right? She's gonna explore different sounds.
Yeah.
Work with, as we've got in the description on Instagram, work with Steve Lacy, someone who himself is really young and has that like strong neo R&B kind of like background with the internet, and then also has gone off and made solo projects and produced a song for like Kendrick Lamar and like tested a lot of different people. So I think that was a good step to work with him.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, and I think I mentioned this to you before we kind of started. Like, it's not shade, innit? It's not shade, but I'm just very surprised about the amount of clout Steve Lacy has in these streets. Like, I feel like his name is like out of the internet, right? I always thought, right, it's Sid and everyone else, but as of like the last few, definitely between Ego Death and Hive Man, I think people were like, nope, it's Steve Lacy and everyone else. Like, Steve Lacy is that guy, and you know what? I'm inclined to agree these days, to be honest, because like, yeah, I don't. Maybe it was too young to kind of like fully explore his talents, but man, like. Again, I'll keep saying this about Odd Future. Like, splitting up was the best thing that ever happened to them, man. But yeah, back to Ravyn and Lenae, right? Like, I think what's so good about her, like you said, she doesn't pigeonhole herself. Like, if you go to Moon Shoes, it's very ethereal, kind of more in the Aaron Adam Kane vein that we spoke about maybe like a month or so ago.
Yeah.
But obviously you got Crush, and it's like, damn, straight R&B. Like, she can just switch it up and go the completely other way. And I think that's a mark of a very good artist, when you can kind of flip between genres and it doesn't seem awkward. So yeah, I think when it comes to the album, because it does seem like she's recording from looking at Instagram, when it comes to the album, I would want to see both, to be honest. And it'd be interesting because obviously she's been quiet for like the last 3 years. It'd be kind of interesting to see like how her sound has developed over time, like, and how an adult's gonna like how being an adult, is going to inform like her music and things like that. But,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, what other songs we had?
Formative years.
Yeah, so also, yeah, like the songs we have, right? So Blossom Dearie being like the older one, and also Sticky being the more recent one. What was the third song we had?
Was it Spice?
That's
from the 2017 EP.
Tell me about Spice.
Tell you about it. It's just a great song.
Don't let me put on a spot, John.
No. It's a good song. It feels closer to that whole EP. Feels closer to her Moon Shoes song. It feels like there's a massive difference between Moon Shoes and, I'm gonna like lump together like Moon Shoes and Moonlight, and then the 2018 EP.
I fully agree.
Because I remember, obviously, like the first song I think I heard was Moon Shoes in that first EP, and then heard some more songs like, what was it like? like The Spice and then like Genesis and other songs on that EP, and then listening to her like more recent stuff, it feels like a big transition.
Having said that, this was my last question, right? So do you think the real Ravyn is Crush, or is it Moon Shoes? Because obviously the moment she kind of became of age, it's like, bam, we get this type of music. So do you think it's a thing where Moon Shoes was because she was young, or you think she's just exploring different things? So when we get to the album, do you think it's just going to be more Crush?
I think it's exploring different things, and it's definitely the influence of the producer, right?
Yeah.
Of Steve Lacy, because he produced the whole thing. He's on a couple of the songs. She's they're both quite young, but experience-wise, he's a lot more experienced, so he's gonna influence the sound quite a bit. But I wouldn't be surprised to hear elements of the earlier stuff.
Okay, fair. I hope that is the case too.
Because it's really nice, like just that, like, R&B. It's nice because obviously Steve Lacy's gonna bring like elements of the more like funkier like bass, bit like that kind of like Thundercat like bass slap stuff. He's gonna bring elements of that.
He is a good bass player.
Yeah.
But
one to watch out for. It'll be exciting to see what she comes up with. Hopefully this year. Yeah. Fingers crossed for that EP. For that album.
The album,
we don't want another EP.
No EP.
We love it, but we don't want another EP. Yeah. Thanks. But yeah, obviously, as we say every week, if you've got opinions or just, comments to say, John, why did he say this? Why is Toppy doing this? Then give us a message on Twitter at TVC Pod. You can message us on Instagram, obviously at the Vinyl Collective Pod. Give us an email, vinylcollectivepod@gmail.com. And if you're lucky enough to have our numbers, you know where to call or text.
Fuck no, don't do that. Don't listen to him. We're not doing that. Don't message me. Don't. I hate that.
What are you talking about? No. You don't want your friends to message you, be like, that was a great episode, or what is John talking about?
Fair, sometimes.
I'm not giving your number out on the podcast. I'm saying if you have our numbers, lucky you can, call us.
There's some days when someone asks you something and I know they haven't fucking listened to the episode, so you should ask me about something. I'm like, I fucking explained this on the episode, bro. Like, I hate that, but I get what you mean though. But I'll just say, if you like the music that we talk, Ravyn Lenae, good artist, been around for a long time. But yeah, check her out on the Spotlight series. We update that every week. All the other 28?
7 weeks. This is 28.
27 artists. They're all there. And yeah, I feel like this is like our proof of concept, John. I feel like over time, a lot of the artists we're talking about are starting to pop. Like you see Bella got the colours. George's working with Masego. Like there's something to it. Who knows? Maybe when Saint Beauty and Ravyn Lenae drop, what happens, right? But I'll just leave that there. I'll leave that there.
But yeah, let's just take a short break and then we'll get into the main episodes. Yeah.
See you guys in a bit.
So we are back and we have a special guest with us today, Paula, aka Narcography. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me. Thanks.
Yeah, let's get into it. So obviously you're co-host of the Playback Podcast. One of the episodes I've really enjoyed because I've seen too much nonsense on Twitter about Common Sense being better than Big Conspiracy. But it seemed like there was a unanimous consensus on there, right?
I think.
Did I miss one of you saying something else today?
I don't think we all agreed on that, and I think Karen was definitely one.
Oh, really?
That said, I think she believes that Common Sense is much better than Big Conspiracy, but I do think fundamentally Big Conspiracy is a more grown-up album. Like, it is a better body of work, but Common Sense is cold. Like, I can't come here and shit on it either. Like, it's It's a cold album.
Yeah.
She's saying a lot of things, John. She is.
It's a cold album. Like, I don't know.
No, it's true. You know what it is with Common Sense, right? Is that there's so many bangers that are probably going to live on forever in terms of like UK history. Like, but some of the songs are so juvenile, it's hard to not look back and cringe, like Closed Doors. Like, it's hard to look back at a song like that and be like, fuck, man, he's young.
I love it's the nostalgia element, right? Like, people.
Yeah, and I do think, I do think Huss with his lyricism as a whole, it is childish. Like even in Big Conspiracy, I do think he still has a way to go where lyricism is concerned. But that guy can ride a beat like no one else, and like he knows how to pick production. He understands music like at its core. So I think that definitely shows itself. But his lyricism, I would say, is at the back of his talent. Some like in certain cases, I do think, but songs like Buff Daddy, like the ones that are just like a vibe completely, like you can't chat too much about it, but Big Conspiracy is a better album. I will say that. I do think it is. But a lot of people wouldn't agree with that. I think a lot of people would pick Common Sense.
I think so as well, which we always had this debate. We've done polls as well. Yeah. I think it was like 60%. Something like that.
Yeah.
Common Sense,
which one? Switched overnight.
Yeah.
Common Sense. Yeah, I think a lot more people would pick Common Sense. And I think it was just more popular, like at the time it came out as well. Like,
it hit different, man.
Yeah, it hit different at that time.
And I think it was the first time in a very, very long time that the UK had an album that was legitimately good. Like you're not faking it, like it's actually good. Like, oh my gosh, I can listen to this front to back and it's
when did Common Sense come out?
2017.
So that's the thing as well. It's been around 4 years. So it's gathered that like.
I mean, are you talking specifically about that genre or just you?
Oh no. As UK hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. Okay, I was about to be like, ooh.
No.
I mean,
no, we rate UK seconds over here.
Yeah, 100%.
But actually, no, I have a question, right? Because obviously you're a big photographer as well as, you know, you do your podcast as well. And you do your No Signal Super album. But I want to know, with the term narcography, where did that kind of come from? Because when I think narcography, I think, do you like enjoy taking photos at night? Like, is there something to that? Like, yeah. I just want to know.
You know what? I'm also a pharmacist by training. There's the whole thing of, you know, narcotics and drugs. And I remember being in uni when I started taking photos. I'd always known I wanted to take photos and all that kind of stuff, but like I just never, like it's when I got to uni and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. That was like, okay, pick up your camera and like do what it is you want to do. So the name kind of came then. And also just like in the way I like my work to feel, like the word narcotic does mean like soothing, numbing, feeling, and like I've always wanted that to translate into my work. So I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a name that kind of suits me in very many ways.
Okay, fair. I took it in a whole different way when I was thinking like narcolepsy. I was like, what?
Did she take photos at night? Like what is it? Third eye?
But you know what it is? I mean, because I think similar to, I think there's another guest we had, Ore, like way back, like episode 6 or so. And Ore is also a big fan of film as well as music. And obviously, I think you're the second guest who's like a fan of music.
Is it Ore?
Ore Views.
The one I write. Ore Views, yeah. So cool.
But so I'm going to ask the same question I'll ask that to you. It's like, which one do you prefer in terms of like visual kind of media compared to music? Are you just more a fan of like film and photos, or are you a fan of music as well? As much,
you know, that is a tough question to answer. For me, that is such a tough question to answer, because I think my love for the both of them are kind of born out of each other. Like I television and film is my original like form of escapism. But I fell in love with music through soundtracks and like listening to scores, and like I was a person that really went back to find out what song was playing, because I just felt like music was just such a good medium where film is concerned in terms of like translating the feeling and the emotion. Like if you take music out of any film or TV show, it does not hit the same whatsoever at all. So like I really I resonate with the power of music pretty quickly, and I think my love for music then kind of stemmed from there. And I've just always done both of them. Like the way my life has moved, I've always been able to do both things and like talk about both things. And so I don't know, but I've not even answered the question. I've gone all politician on you. Like I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would say prefer to consume right now music, but in terms of as a whole, I don't know if I can actually genuinely pick.
Fair. Tough question.
It's a tough. That was a tough one. You got me
choosing your kids,
right? Legit.
High key. Yeah, but and then obviously with the Floor magazine as well, creative director. How many of you are working on that?
The Floor, our team keeps getting bigger. I mean, right now, say No, let me not get the number wrong. And then someone's like, wait a second.
Do the audit check.
I want to say there's more, like in terms of the core team, there's more than 10 of us that kind of run like on a day-to-day basis. And it's going to keep growing because we consistently need more hands and more help and everything. But me, it was Ope's idea. And then like he brought me and Karen on. And it's been us three like at the head of it, kind of spearheading the magazine as a whole. And we've kind of recruited as we went along based on like what our needs were as the time went on. But yeah, I'm creative director. I kind of fell into the role just because I was the one that took the photos. and then they like how the magazine looked and like the stuff, the way I just wanted things to like be presented, just tended to fall on me because of that. And yeah, that's kind of how it came about. I love doing it, man. I love the magazine.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into that a little bit. Like, what is the direction for, like, your direction for the magazine moving forward?
I mean, we are currently like, we're always trying to restructure and like make it bigger and better and all that kind of stuff. But I think our big main goal is to make it a media thing. Like we want it to cover a bunch of things in media. And I think when we started, it was really about people who were very talented, but obviously you can't get into a situation where you get interviewed or you get spotlighted until you have a certain amount of like following by yourself. And we kind of wanted to be the first magazine to just be like, you're cool, like what do you do? And like give them a space to like talk about that. Whether it was music, whether it was poetry, whether you were a screenwriter, like whatever it was, we just wanted to have people like be able to talk about what it is they do, especially black people in literature and black people behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how it was born, and we want that to stay at its core, but we want to spread that across the diaspora, and we want to just make it a bigger thing. So yeah, we've got a lot of more media stuff planned in terms of like the people we speak to and how we go about it. And now we've got the radio show as well. Like we're just kind of trying to like expand it media wise and just allow up and coming artists of all mediums to have a place where they can like actually be like, oh, this is the new thing I'm doing and this is you know how it started, and be everyone's kind of first interview, first platform, you know, hence the name The Floor, you know.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Bloody like media avenger here. Do you know what I mean? Like you're doing like your pre-reg, I assume, right? And then also you're doing all of this like fuck it, oh my gosh, man.
But I am tired. I've got a wine next to me, just sipping on the casual.
And the scope then obviously like what's the like international, I guess, talent as well, or just
international talent. Like we're definitely like in talks about like moving it more back home a bit more and like spotlighting a lot of people back in, because we love Ope and Karen, we love alternative music, we love like watching where Afro beats and that sound is going, and house and South African house, and how that has influenced like an entire sound in Afro beats as a whole. 100%. And like we were just like, there's so much talent back home, like, and Karen currently lives in Tanzania. So we were just like, we might as well just see how we can dip our foot over there as well. And more time, like when it comes to media, like people tend to go west a bit more, America and all that kind of stuff, but they got their own things. Like let's try and, you know, bring it back this way, especially because a lot of people from Britain, a lot of Black British people have very strong connections to back home, and like we're first generation immigrants and all that kind of stuff. So we just thought it'd be a good idea to also have bridged that connection a little bit. And even just on a like big scale, we want to do so much where like Black Britain is concerned as well, and Americans. We like speak to a lot of Americans now. So it's just blackness as a whole wherever we find ourselves. Really.
Fair enough. I mean, no, it's kind of refreshing to kind of see it like with you guys as well, because I remember I think Ope kind of started on his birthday, something like that, like a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of crazy to see how it's grown over the years, as well as like Guap magazine as well, like kind of in a similar vein, like kind of like put emerging creatives at the front of, you know, what they do, and stay in that way for like, even though like despite the success. So no, honestly, proper sick thing. But I think it's like your third volume now, isn't it? Or that you're on
in terms of the magazine?
Yeah.
I think what issue is this? Is our sixth issue. Sixth issue, and then we're gonna, I think we're in works. Our seventh should come out in a few months, and then, Yeah, we do 2 issues a year. We don't try to do too much because we're trying to, you know, there are magazines that you can actually put on your table. Like quality shit. Like that's what we're trying to do. Do you get what I'm saying?
Like
and
matte finish. Oh,
yeah, honestly, head over to atthefloormag.com. Like right now, coffee or coffee. If you feel our magazines, there's some quality shit. Like they're, you know, a little bit thicker, a lot of like content and written work. And I think magazines, you can go either way. You can go the more photography, and we do like to make it look visually pleasing, and I love photography and all that kind of stuff, but like actually letting people's like work get read and like poetry be put out there and like interviews and speaking to all this black talent, all that kind of stuff. So we don't do them too often, like our physical issues, so that we run online a bit more efficiently than our physical ones.
I mean, guys, you heard the women. Like, don't buy the Rihanna one. Like, save your coins. Come on, get the Floor magazine.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
Still, it's where it's at.
But we haven't even gone to today's topic. But you know, if you kind of guess, if you are a keen listener, we are quite, you know, we're kind of known as music snobs over here at the Vinyl Collective. We're very kind of specific of what we talk about, who we have on and stuff like that. So I think we spoke a little bit just before we started, like we wanted to do Lemonade, and we're like, right, we don't just want to do Lemonade. We're just, you know, a black man and a Caucasian male, right? I just feel like that wouldn't come across the right way. Yeah,
I'm so glad to hear this. I'm super happy to just hear that this conversation happened.
Yeah, no, it had to happen. Like the things we knew we wanted to do it like literally like maybe 3-4 months ago, like probably at the start of the year, we're like, we want to do this. But then we're like, okay, but we need like a good guest, because Beyoncé is not anyone's mate, right? She does put a lot into her work. Like, you know, she drops like a film pretty much for every album now.
At this point, filmmaker Beyonce.
Do you know what I mean? So we need someone who kind of like had expertise in both, and obviously, cool. We had to do it, guys. We had to bring on Paula for this. So we're gonna break down Lemonade. So I think as of this episode dropping, I think it's like 21st or so. I think the weekend of this will be the 5-year anniversary of Lemonade, which is crazy to think about because I feel like it's 5 years ago. But I feel like for an album that's it sold the least out of all the albums. It's just quite surprising which is arguably her best album. I'll say personally, her best album.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll get into
it. Started already.
Yeah, we said.
You know what? Yeah. So many people would disagree, but I can't bring myself to disagree whatsoever. Because when you think about it, let's be honest with ourselves. Beyonce's up until Lemonade, I'll say up until Self-Titled, Beyonce was Beyonce because she could do what Beyonce does, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
The performance value, the voice, the look, everything, Destiny's Child, like all she'd achieved was because she was Beyonce. And like, not to say her music wasn't good, because let's be honest, that debut album still makes no sense to me. I don't understand how you can come out with Kitty Cat, Deja Vu, all them man out the gate. Like, she was no one's mate from the beginning. Don't get me twisted. But from Self-Titled and Lemonade, that was a different kind of bread and butter where music is concerned. I'll give you that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so yeah, let's just get straight into it, right? Let's not even fuck around now. So also, we need to give the necessary context for this album, right? We can't even start without giving the context. So if you know it, innit? Elevator, was it Met Gala?
Met Gala 2014.
Yeah. You know what happened, innit? I remember watching that clip. It's bad, like, it's just, you just knew whatever happens after this, it's never going to be the same with these guys. Like, never going to be the same. So obviously, we all know what kind of came from that and everything like that. But my question to you, Paula, is if we never saw it, because that's the thing, like, it happened, right? And this is probably not the first time Beyonce and Jay-Z have had some sort of fall out, of course not. But if we never saw the elevator moment, do you think we would have got an album like Lemonade?
Yeah, I think we would have, because I think Lemonade was kind of born out of something a bit different from what I feel like we saw in the elevator. Because I feel like that elevator thing happened, and she even dropped 7-Eleven, and she has a bar in 7-Eleven about the elevator. Like, something happens when $1 million in the elevator. Yeah, something like that. So she played on it before, but I think at that point, I think Lemonade was an album that had happened before we had seen anything. Like, I think the breakup of their marriage and the put back together, I think that was, in terms of order of her life, I have a feeling that Self-Titled comes after Lemonade. in terms of like where she was and everything. Lemonade is a very angry album, like top to bottom. Like it's literally, I think there's like three more loved up songs on an album that's like what 10, 11 tracks or something like that. Like she's definitely pissed off, and I think it's obviously their relationship broke down, whatever happened, and she made this out of it. And I think to the level of perfection I think Lemonade was executed at, you can kind of only do that when you can think of it as a project rather than as a personal thing. So I think all of that shit had happened. They'd made up, chose to move on, and then she thought, okay, cool, let me make this album like about what I went through, because it still was an experience, you know what I mean? I think we would have still gotten it. Fair. I do think we would have still gotten it, but I think that the release of that clip or whatever kind of just, I think it opened a little bit of a door in terms of her being honest and like a little bit more vulnerable, and like I think the image kind of dropped a little bit because I think we didn't know who she was. Like we still don't really, like when you think about it, but we didn't really know who she was, and I think that like, oh crap, like not Beyonce.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Like her sister swinging, like it was like, oh, and I think that kind of opened like a different door in terms of vulnerability and stuff for her. So I don't know, good question, but I think it would have.
Okay, fair. John, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree to an extent, yeah, because I mean, if you look at like it was recorded in what was it, 2014 and 2015. So I think, like you say, some of the songs definitely allude to like there being this, we'll get into it, right? Like so much stuff bubbling under the surface. So it feels like that's a long process of behavior, a lot of events taking place. So it's not like this one thing Solange found out about. They had a fight. Beyonce's like, I'm going to make an album. Like it wasn't all,
I think
didn't happen like linear like that.
No, I kind of agree with you, like with both what you guys said. I think, to be honest, I kind of think it wouldn't have happened like this, but I think the fact that that elevator moment was public, it demanded for it, right? Like, there's no, like, even Beyonce dropped another pop album, people be like, what the fuck? Like, let's talk about the elevator, honey. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she couldn't drop anything else but this.
She couldn't have just ignored it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was,
I think,
it was one of the biggest scandals in the world of that year at the time. Like it was so unheard of for Beyonce or Jay-Z to be in that like manner ever. So it was like, it's just, cause I think there's certain artists who can do that. And I'm not dissing them. It's like, okay, no one really cares that much, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's Beyonce. You have to care. So, but I think what's so interesting when I kind of look back, is that there's certain albums where I think about, I'm like, is this not the first time? Like, is this just the straw that broke the camel's back? Because when I hear like albums like 4, when she's alluding a lot to, being done wrong and stuff like that, I'm like, where's this coming from then? Do you know what I mean? I don't know, can I get that thought looking back at the previous albums?
I mean, Beyonce's just done a lot of different type of music in her career. Like, I think like her discography is so strange to me. Like now that I look back on it, like it really is a collection of a bunch of different things, and I don't think a lot of people deep that her music is very different, like album to album and all that kind of stuff. I think her earlier stuff is very, like I said, very well put together. Like I think it was marketed well. She was polished, she was Beyonce. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they knew that people loved Beyonce and loved what she could do and loved how she looked and everything. So I think there was an element of machinery, I think, that probably went into the way she pumped out music earlier on in her career when she was in her early 20s, doing it like that. But I think coming into like Sasha Fierce, I would say, and Fool, you can see the agency show up, and you can tell like, okay, this woman's creating from herself. So I think Sasha Fierce is a very, very vulnerable album, especially like the two-sided thing where she really like kind of gets into the fact that she does have to put on this persona to be this Beyonce that we know. And then on the other side of it, she's got all these vulnerable songs about being brokenhearted, about, all this pressure. I've got Halo, which is, I think, still personally, I think is an incredible ballad, like structure-wise and everything. Halo, Brokenhearted Girl, Ave Maria, like you've got all these songs that are very like, slow and deeper and all that kind of stuff. And I think she was kind of showing us that duality, and then you're right, you move into 4 and it does. 4 is a strange album. I don't love it. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Even as a Beyonce stan, I don't love it, and everyone's always like, because everyone loves 4 but me. I think I feel the way about 4 the way you felt about Channel Orange is just like It's just like it's not giving what it's supposed to have gave for me.
No,
but everyone feels for. I think it's such a confusing album because it does have those sadder songs, and then you've got like End of Time on it, and you're just thinking like, what's going on? I don't know. That was just personally.
Oh no, I felt the same way.
Personally, my thoughts on Force. I don't know if and she was pregnant during that time, so I think she's probably like there's probably like a lot going on with that with her previous music. But I think Lemonade. And I always mention Self-Titled because I think Self-Titled is a brilliant album as well. I think those two albums really, there's just a lot more intentionality in terms of storytelling and music making that I think is just very clear of the rest of her discography in a different way. But people loved what Beyonce used to do. Like, people loved that Beyonce, the polished one, the pop one. Like, she was an icon. Like, you can't... Yeah. All the things she did in that realm are still so phenomenal and unheard of. It's like I can't even put them against each other too tough either. Like,
yeah. When we're talking about a very different artist here, we're talking about this artist is so different. So yeah, it's kind of hard to pick your favorite when it's like, yeah, she's kind of been stellar.
I think she's just so different. Yeah,
decades. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Was it like 18 years? When was her first one out?
Oh, when is Be There her first album?
Before.
No,
before 2000.
Dangerously Love's her first album.
Yeah, but Destiny's Child was before all of that, John. I think that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah, maybe.
She's just bloody hell, man. Like, you can't.
20 plus years of like excellence.
Yeah.
Like, not even small level excellence. Like, I'm talking. No, unheard of. There's no one else, in my opinion, including the other guy that we all like to mention when we're talking about Beyonce. I'm not calling him up, we're gonna get
that's a whole different episode.
That's a whole different episode, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not even gonna get, and I think, again, that's an artist that you can't necessarily compare with anybody else in terms of what he did. But I'm sorry, if Beyonce was a man yet, they would have made statues of her everywhere. Like, let's be real. There'll be statues of her on our common, like, she would see a statue of Beyonce. I promise, like, if she was a man, like, nobody would be able to chat to her because it's just unheard of. I'm sorry, like, the stuff that she's done, it's just no one else. You can't pull up anybody else's numbers, anybody else's, like, abilities and tell me.
Used to make If I Were a Boy Part 2, talk about that.
Yeah.
Mad. Yeah, man. I just think she's just no one's mate in that sense. So yeah,
that's that. Should we kind of get into it a little bit? Obviously, you know, people home pro know there's Lemonade the album, there's Lemonade the film. Yeah. So just kind of like as a first question, putting it to you, Paula, like what do you think it adds? What do you think the album would have been without the film? Like how do you see the two like interacting with each other?
I do think, like, in terms of a cultural moment, it would have been less impactful without the film. Mainly because I think Lemonade, it was so left field, I think, even from what she had done with Self-Titled, because Self-Titled was a little left field, but then like she really stepped out in terms of genre bending. Like, none of the album is really one cohesive genre, or like, especially in the way she used to make unproduced R&B, and especially the way we were used to like consuming R&B. Like, I think it's very different. Like, songs like Don't Hurt Yourself, like 6 Inch, Daddy's Lessons, like, he really takes another genre and makes it a song, and like that song you kind of have to take in for what it is rather than trying to put it in a box of any sort. So I think, like, when you kind of look at Lemonade in that sense, I don't think people would have appreciated it as much without the visual. I think the visual made it very clear what it was about, and very clear the reason why she had to kind of move through the genres in order to paint a picture of all these emotions that she kind of takes us through in Lemonade. Because I think obviously the way Pray You Catch Me starts, like, it's very soft and slow, and you kind of see her, I can't remember, but like she's on the top of the building, I think, and like she's about to jump, and then it goes into Hold Up. She does jump in it, and then like it goes into the water and it goes into Hold Up. So like, I think the visual makes the movement of genre makes so much more sense. Like, you know why Hold Up had to be a little bit more bouncy and colorful, because it's the anger she's feeling. It's the type of anger where she had it.
Start laughing.
you have to laugh like, oh, swear, cool. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, like you can't even, the words aren't coming. Like you're pissed off to the point you have to actually dance up and down the street in a yellow gown with a baseball bat because somebody tried you. Somebody tried. Just saying. And then like moving into like the don't hurt yourself, and when it gets like rock, like it's like, oh, okay, I'm pissed now. And like I think only certain genres can really like effectively like, you know, depict certain emotions and the way she was trying to do it. So I think that was the reason for the film to really tie the way the album moves together. I think the film just it made more. So I watched the film first. I didn't listen to it. Like I just pressed play on the film, and when you listen to the music after watching the film, it was definitely like I hear it, like I see it. Like she made us see it, and I think that's such an important addition to music that I think everybody picked up after she dropped self-titled and dropped the film with it. Everyone was like, okay, cool. You really can put something else as next to music and make people understand it to a higher level than they would have without the visual. So I think it was very important. I mean, what do you guys feel?
Yeah, I came at it from a different side. I obviously had the album first and then I watched the film. So I guess I saw them in first was like the album, cool. It's about their relationship solely. And that's kind of what I got from it, like quite a narrow perspective of it. And then I watched the film. I'm like, oh, okay. It's about so much more than just like her and Jay-Z.
Yep.
Like we'll get into it, right? But like, obviously she's not just speaking about herself. She's speaking about a whole body of people. So yeah, that's what I got obviously from the film. And obviously you can see all the people she's dancing with, why she selected these people, the like diversity of the people in even like up to one of the last songs where there's like lots of different couples of different sexualities as well, which you wouldn't even know that was on her mind in that final song unless she had like chosen them.
Quick hot take, All Night is definitely one of the best songs on the album.
Like, a lot of people say that. And I keep going.
You don't agree? Just say
for me, it's cool in it, but then I feel like songs like Hold Up, Don't Hurt Yourself, and then Formation is like different.
Formation should.
Are there any wrong answers though? I don't know.
No, I have a little bit of a like unpopular. I don't think Formation should have been on this album. I don't really think it had a place.
I agree with
personally.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't really think it. I think it should have been a single, and I think it was effective in what it did with the music video and the time it dropped and everything. That should have been it. Like I don't really understand why she put it at the end of the album, but maybe it was a streaming thing.
But you know what? But we just spoke about the video, right? So I watched the video first because obviously I watched Lemonade film when it came out, but I was like, I don't really listen to Beyonce like that, whatever, put it away. But then going back to it, I was like, no, the video, I feel like what John said, it's like you get two different albums, listen to one. It's like when you listen to the music, like, okay, this girl's pissed off that a man cheated. She's going through that process of forgiving him and rekindling it and whatever. But then it's like a whole, like even just you talking about when she's jumping off the building, right? And she's going to the water. And then now she's tying in like, you know, Yoruba history. She's bringing all this stuff like, you know, slave history. Like, what the fuck? Like, I thought this was just about cheating. Like, it's like she's kind of taking that narrative and then not only applied it to her relationship, but also applied it to her relationship with, I guess, her ancestry and America itself, which is fucking like, that's really ambitious to put all of those into one project. And I think I think that's why you have songs like Formation, because it's like,
okay, fair enough.
I'm trying to justify it in a way because I get what you mean. It does feel like a roll credits, but I think it's kind of looking back at, so she's gone through this whole process, right? And then Formation is like, okay, like I've kind of gone through this like unlearning of things that like generational traumas, whatever. Now, girls, you do it as well, kind of thing. And I think that's why it's there. But yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
Okay. Okay. I see what you did there. Okay, I hear that. I never thought about it like that. That definitely makes sense. And do you know what? Like, I think with all the themes that you say are brought up in Lemonade, like especially when you watch the film and you see, I think the point of Lemonade as a whole is it's a womanhood thing, like, and specifically a Black womanhood thing. And it's like, okay, cool. There's this element of being like cheered on and like the emotions that come with that, and like ultimately knowing you love this man, and you know, for whatever reason the cocaine is in your bloodstream to the point where you have to take him back, you know what I'm saying? No option. There's that, and then there's like the aspect of like what even leads to that decision as a Black woman where you feel like you do need to stay with this man even while you are Beyonce, you know what I'm saying? Like or even like, let's be honest, like at the end of the day, like there's that, and then she speaks about her dad and like the influence he's had on her, and like not even just him, like where she comes from. And I think there's a very good reason why that song is a country song at its core, and like she is from the South, and this is the origin of like Black music from that like section and stuff. So like she decides to go that route because like I feel like I'm saying like, but like her dad and her family and everything, like all the things that she comes from all the things we come from inform our decisions like on a day-to-day basis. And I think like the influence her dad had played, being the father he was, whether the good parts, the bad parts, the lessons he gave her while being the perpetrator of this to her mother as well, and having watched that, it's like it's a very complicated it's just psyche to like have to like endure. And when it does come to your own relationship and your own marriage, it's like, okay, here I am in this same like vortex that we've all been in. And yeah, men have a part to play, but also us as Black women, like what do we believe our value is, and how does that inform the decisions we are consistently making? And even if a lot of it isn't our fault, because then she goes into the whole, like she has all the mothers of all the sons that have been shot and lost like to police brutality and all that kind of stuff. And then like, how does a mother's relationship with her son, and then a Black woman's relationship with her husband, like Black womanhood and Black manhood is such a complicated like thing, whether it's mother and son or you know, husband and wife, or like relationships or whatever the case may be. And I think like just exploring what all of that meant, and like the burdens that ultimately always come back to Black women in these situations when we lose these people, whether it be through infidelity or whether it be through death. It's a constant mourning. And I think that was kind of the point that she's trying to like grab onto, which is why I feel like most Black women who heard Lemonade and loved it like will always go up for it, because it's like, yo, that's like what she's talking about us, like telling me shit like F off, like it's not.
I mean, you're saying a lot of good things, right? But even after all of that, you were like, it must be the coke though. So do you feel like it's you know what I mean? She said so much good things, didn't she? Just like, yeah, you know, justifying it like history. But do you feel like, despite all that, do you feel like, just outside the album, do you feel like there's never a good enough excuse to kind of step out? I feel like I'm getting that vibe.
You know what? This is very tough, and you know what? I'm going to be honest. As somebody who is currently in love, right?
We'd love to see it.
When you see it from that perspective, when you have feelings for somebody, and it's like, yet there isn't a good enough excuse in a sense, because it's like, okay, if you feel what I feel for you, or if you're telling me you love me, like, okay, what happened in that moment? But I think sometimes you can genuinely understand that somebody regrets something. And I think regret is also a very valid emotion to consider sometimes. Like in this, it's a difficult one to tell, because I think women or man who have been done wrong or cheated on, you're within your rights to be like, nah, like I deserve better in that moment. If you couldn't think of me, cool. But also we are all actually human, and we F up, like we do things that we just weren't supposed to do. And like, if this person has done this, they've come and they've been honest and they've said, okay, I actually regret that action, and I'm willing to sit here and like regain your trust. And then I think somebody accepting that and being willing to put that person through, and being willing to go through that with that person because of how they feel about them. I don't think they should be looked at as weak or somehow because of that decision. I think I used to think that, but like the more you realize and the more you like feel for somebody, it's like people mess up, and you actually do want to give somebody you love a second chance, and that's an okay thing to want to do. But in the same breath, like you could have just not. So So I think I'm in a place where I just I think either decision is completely valid depending on where you stand. But I think more time, if they've been consistently doing it, you need to jump ship. I think one time is cool. A second time now. There should never be a second time is where I think everyone should jump ship because they don't respect you.
Fair.
Like, forget a lot of respect, you know?
Yeah. Okay,
you know what I mean? Like, let's get back to the basics.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned respect. I remember Pitchfork said that, what was it? Don't hurt yourself. They were like, that's a Beyonce version of Respect by Aretha Franklin. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Fuck me, man. Like, who's working at Pitchfork these days?
Sometimes, Sometimes. You know when like people started a magazine way back when it was like super cool at the time and then like they're still doing it. And you're like, okay,
I think the thing is they have so many writers nowadays.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opinions.
That one, I mean, it's not even a case of I don't agree with the comparison. It's like, okay.
Do you need to do that?
Like, what do you want me to do that information now? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
You can guess the ethnicity of that writer, man. Straight off.
I mean, I want to say none.
I don't disagree.
I want to say none, you know.
I mean, fuck me, man. But no, I mean, I think the other thing that you picked up on was like, oh, like, you know, if, you know, some people can stay and, you know, be strong enough to kind of go through the process of, you know, someone cheating or doing them wrong and reworking that. But in the film, what I think was so interesting about All Night, which is why I appreciate it slightly more than I did when I first hear it, is that at the end of All Night, obviously you see her mum remarrying someone else. So she left Beyonce's dad and found someone else because obviously he cheated as well. So it's like, I think she is kind of showing that, yeah, there are two routes like you can take with this thing, where it's like, not, it's, I think when I first heard it, I was like, damn, she really saying that it's a woman's fault that the guy did the wrong. I was kind of like, I don't know what she's trying to say.
I don't think that's what she ever said.
No, I know she didn't say that, but the vibe I was getting, it's like, because most people, right, if they get cheated on, they're not going to take accountability for what they do. That's not usually the route they take. But she's done so much of that through songs like Daddy Lessons, Love Drought, Cycles. So I mean, and in my mind, I'm like, but he's the one moving mad. Like, what's going on? But it's just, it makes a level of joy I just don't have access to right now.
Do you know what I do? I don't even think it's that. I think it's the fact that, like, at the end of the day, you only are you in a situation, and you can actually only speak for yourself. And I think Lemonade is completely from her side of things. Whatever his reasoning for doing what he did and all of that kind of stuff, that wasn't part of the album. It was completely about her emotional reaction and how it affected her view of her own self-worth, and how she was like, okay, cool, am I not worth it then? Is it me? Like, you if you are cheated on, you have that question in your mind. Even though this person has done what they've done to you, I think you still come back and be like, okay, what could I have done to like not have had them step out on me? Like, I think being in a relationship, you're always gonna like look into yourself and be like, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna be like, so am I a dickhead? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of what she was kind of going into in that sense. But I mean, I didn't even like realize with her mom being in it and everything, there are two routes. I think it depends on how you feel about someone at the end of the day. I think some love feels worth it and some doesn't. Like, some you just be like, okay, well, you could have been cool. And then some, and you can genuinely love that person and still just be like, no, I'm not gonna sit here through this. And then some people really feel like they're supposed to be in your life, and then that feeling just, it can overwhelm a bunch of shit, like, and you can just be like, okay, cool, I'm willing to work through this. So it definitely is a person to person thing. Yeah.
Do you think do you think the album was so like well received and you like got so much from it because it was like solely, there's like one tiny bit of one of the videos where Jay-Z's in it, but like it's solely about how
I was even irritated when I saw it. I said, now why is he here?
Why is he getting his head caressed? Like,
no, that video is so wild. But continue what you're saying, John. Go on. That video's,
now he ain't even do nothing. Why is he here?
No. John, finish. I'm gonna go off.
I was gonna say, so like, do you think it was so well received and stuff because the whole album really was about Beyonce's like intentional decisions to choose to respond in this particular way? And it wasn't, you know, he came back and he said sorry and he did this and he realizes he was wrong. It's like I'm going through this whole process of
the roadmap.
Yeah,
the roadmap was so different. Like, and I just love the way it was depicted in terms of it being a journey of self and a journey through herself. And I think a lot of the time, especially where a relationship is concerned, like I think a lot of people forget that you are actually two people in a relationship, and more time the issue isn't the relationship, is with each individual. And like if you both sort out your shit, then this would absolutely work. You know what I'm saying? And I think maybe being cheated on was a catalyst to her realizing a bunch of stuff about herself, and she took the time out of their relationship, because they've been together since she was pretty young. I mean, cough, a little questionable.
Yep.
You know, a little bit somehow, but hey, who am I to judge? It's like you, especially when you've been in a relationship for a long time, like it's time to step out and be like, okay, who am I again? Like, and I think that's okay to do. And I think it's kind of because it looked like that self-discovery journey, and she moved through her own emotions by herself. And it was a thing of her thinking about her love for him, and you know, exploring just all relationships in her life, her relationship with her father, relationship with her mother, her relationship with her sisters and her mothers, and all the other Black women around her life. Like when you sit here and consider all of that and like talk about those connections and not center it around the man at the end of the day, because I think the event of him cheating was probably just more of a catalyst for just a bunch of other things, a bunch of other like conversations with herself and people around her. So yeah.
Because I think one of the strongest quotes, or like one of the strongest lines that like talks about everything you said is was it on All Night, where she's like, my love was stronger than your pride. So it's and at that point you're like, oh, like this, it just kind of like sums a lot of it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, for sure. Let's go back to what you said, right? Because you mentioned Jay-Z kind of being, we have to talk about
held on to it for
I've held on to it. But okay, so there's a lot of significant parts, right? Because Jay-Z's only shown at the point of which they've kind of decided we're going to make this work, which is a very key part. Like she's not in any part of like her healing process or anything like that, which I think is very intentional. Like, okay, it's only when I've decided we're doing this now, I've kind of made peace with things and I'm ready to kind of understand what's going on here. But, and I get all of that, and I, love, appreciate it. And me and John talk about this all the time. We always say we can't date R&B singers because you can't be with me, right? We can't, and singers, you can't be with me and you're singing about a past relationship with such, passion, because I'm going to start thinking you're cheating and I'm going to get pissed off. I always say this, be real here. Like every person you've ever even had a little crush on is an individual thing. Like it's an individual experience. And it doesn't negate, like the crush I had on one guy or baby in primary school does not like negate whoever I have feelings for. I can't be in the studio and listen to you talk about like the loss. Why are you singing so loud? Literally, why are you singing so loud? Why is there so much passion? Like the drive home is going to be so awkward. I'm like, boy, like one of my favorite albums last year was Leanna Havas' self-titled. Oh my word! And when she dropped it, she was in a relationship. So I'm like, brother, like what's going? Like I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna listen to songs like Paper Thin. I'm gonna listen to songs like Read Your Mind. I'm gonna be. That's not me, fam. So who is that? Like, who is that? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I feel like it's, you have to, like, your life is a bunch of experiences and a bunch of people that you've met.
We're just not strong enough to.
I'm just not strong enough.
I think the other example was Tiana Taylor, right? We were talking about her album last year, and you were like, "Who? I didn't do that. Who did this?" Like,
and there's a whole bunch of things about relationship that whatever. Anyway. I'm not even going to get into that. But back to the video, right? I get what she's trying to do, and obviously they've worked through things. But me as Beyonce and me as whichever part you want to be, I don't know if I could sit through a music video of a song as powerful or passionate as that for the whole. I don't think I could actually do it. What did you think about it, Paula? Did you feel like, no, this is actually too much, or do you feel like it was necessary?
Or like him being present? Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think
the song for him, like that is.
Well, what song are we talking? Are we talking about All Night or the one Sandcastles? Yeah, Sandcastles. I was thinking that one is a bit. You know what? I feel like if you mess up you have to do whatever they say. Like more time, if they tell you to stand in the middle of the room while she screams in your face, you just have to stand there. I think there's the element of that, but also I think once especially if you're an artist and everything, like, and they have that artistic relationship where they've probably, written music together and, been in the studio together loads. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, you're gonna, what it means to write a song, and you understand what that process is like for us being a musician and you being a musician. So I've written this, you're gonna hear it because because I wrote this about you and like this is how I felt, and I'm sure like that was not even the most raw she'd been with him through their process. Like I'm sure there were many a therapy session where he was like, okay, like you know what I'm saying? So I think there's so many things to consider there, but with Sandcastles, I think it makes sense for him to be there. And I think if that's the time she felt in her journey of forgiveness and healing that she needed him present, then it makes sense for her. Me personally, he can eat chalk. You're not coming in my video.
Facts. I agree. John, what are your thoughts? Because
I agree. I think it does make sense to an extent because I remember watching over the video and there's lots of like, I don't know if you guys saw this, but like there's lots of like bits of imagery as the camera's like panning around at the beginning, like the broken bowl, for example. I don't know if you guys, so the broken bowl is like mended with this like Japanese technique called like kintsugi, which just means to like fill the gaps with gold. And then like the like value or like the history of the object is still beautiful because of the broken pieces and because of the journey you can see by all the gold bits. So I guess things like that make sense because she's like, show me your scars and like open up to me and show me like
that song. Like if you read the lyrics to Sandcastle, like you can. I remember the first time I heard it, like, and there's a bit you hear her voice break, and every time,
when someone's scratching like his face out of the frame, I was like, like what is it about? Like you can tell, like she's actually deep in it. Like what is it about you? Like
she wants to break his face open. Like what is inside this that I can't let go of? And I think I think that was the point we were supposed to get at the end of the day. Like I've actually gone through all of this. I've been pissed off. I've been angry. I've done all this, and like here we go. You know what I'm saying? Like she'd come back around because it's like I think there's a certain like love is at the end of the day a drug. Like it really can have you just in a complete chokehold, especially when you've built a life together, you've had children, and it's like a whole different perspective on your relationship when it's like actually like physical, palpable things you've done together that just aren't going to go away. And it's like, okay, can I move past this if you are telling me that you are not going to do this again? Like, I'm actually going to have to sit here and recommit and re-believe you. But you have to deep it. The first time you marry someone or choose to be in a relationship with them, whatever your final form of relationship is, you are trusting that they're not going to F up. Like, at every point you're doing that, even if they haven't already, you're still trusting that. So she just had to kind of make that decision again, where you were like, okay, I'm going to trust you again, and I'm going to decide again that you're not going to do this, and I'm going to try and believe this at the time. And obviously it's up to him to now not. Her too, because she could be like, you know what, LeBron does look good today. I know that's right.
No, that's facts.
I know that's right.
I mean, okay, cool. So we kind of spoke about like her forgiveness stage, but I think one thing I want to kind of pick up on, because like, again, we kind of like, from what I get, it's like, it's something beyond herself that's leading her to stay with Jake. Because a lot of people are like, oh no, it's just like an industry thing. But with songs like Sandcastles, you're like, okay, no, this is deeper than rap or whatever you want to call it, right? But then I think one song that really sticks out to me in most particular is Hold Up, because for someone like Beyonce, you wouldn't think she'd be the type to be in denial. But obviously the chapter of this one's called Denial, where she's kind of like, you know, she's like, you are Beyonce, you don't need to compete with other women, but she's doing that. And she's kind of brought herself to this point where she's like, you know, they don't love you like I love you. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's being very territorial about her mans. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So I guess I'll start with you, John, actually. What were your initial thoughts of like Hold Up? Like, do you think it kind of makes sense kind of leading up to Don't Hurt Yourself? Like, oh, actually, that I'm a bit in denial of what's going on. Because I thought like Pray You Catch Me kind of covered that. So yeah, what do you kind of think of this one?
I think so. Yeah, because like people always say like, denial is the first form of like acceptance, right? So like, so like you've got to go through those stages, and like it's her kind of like competing is, or like her kind of feeling like she needs to prove herself or whatever, or say like, oh, you know, I'm better than all these other people. That is an emotion different to the one she's going to be feeling pretty soon, right? So in that sense, yeah, it made sense. I don't know whether the first time I watched it, whether like all of the music video made sense to me, connecting to the lyrics.
I think when I saw the music video, the first thing I thought of was the Met Gala. Okay. Because she's dressed in a nice little yellow floral kind of thing. And obviously, you know how, again, because we're talking about how she's kind of putting from like, you know, the Yoruba river goddess Oshun, like the water's coming out the doors. And obviously she kind of left when she left the Met Gala, and obviously Jay-Z's holding space, all of that stuff. I think she's not doing like an exact replica of that, but I think she's definitely alluding to the Met Gala and her kind of like taking on this different form of power, because obviously that's a female god, for lack of a better term. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what the video is kind of alluding to. Like because she, as Paula mentioned, she kind of jumped off the building on Pray Catch Her, and now she's becoming someone else. And I think this is the start of that. What do you think?
I think, do you know what, right? You have to, like, when you deep the lyrics of Hold Up as well, like, she's like, you know what would I actually rather be in this moment, jealous or crazy?
Both.
She's like, you know what? She's like, either I'll be jealous or crazy, or I'll be walked over. She's like, you know what? I'd rather be crazy. So this is like, I'm actually like, I'm unhinged now. Like you've, because you remember,
you've
like
killed me.
When she jumps in the water, she's like, so what are you gonna do now that you've actually murdered me? Like, I'm dead. So if I'm dead now, there's nothing else to lose. And I think that kind of like, you can see her, she's walking down, the dress is nice and heels, and she still goes under the water, she's smashing up glass. Everything around her is like a picture of perfect. The kids are dancing, whatever, and she's pissed. Like in the middle of all this, and it's mad that she hits the little you know, the water thing that Americans have on the side, and the fire hydrant, the water comes out, the kids are dancing, and she's just, you're like, do you not just see a woman whack this thing with a baseball bat, but the kids are still dancing? It's like everything around her is going on, but it's like, I'm losing it slowly, and it's like, somebody make this make sense to me? Like, it's like, this doesn't make sense. She's trying to crunch the numbers. So, okay, so without me, who even are you? First of all, like, so imagine you were married to me. Imagine you're not this rapper. Imagine you're not Jay-Z. Would she have even checked for you with your ugly ass? Like, no. That's what she's trying to say. She's like, what the hell? Like, I'm all this. Like, I'm all this to you. Like, let's be real. I am all this to you, and yet you've got me here. Looking,
moving mad,
questioning. I'm moving mad. I'm feeling jealous. Like, what the hell is this? Like, why have you put me? Like, it's just a bunch of questions, I think, and I think all those type of questions will just leave you unhinged. Like, she's walking down, she sees the security camera, she just whacks it. Like, it just nothing makes sense.
Like,
nothing makes sense. And then she's walking, she's got this smile on her face, but in her eyes there are tears. Like, it's just the complete like juxtaposition that's going on, just the happiness. And I think that's why the dress is yellow. And like what you said about the Met Gala as well, she came down them stairs, so it's supposed to be a show, but what the fuck? Like, so yeah, I think Hold Up is definitely one of the pinnacle songs, I think, in terms of like storytelling. I think it's definitely, she spelled it out. She's like, nah, like, this, make it make sense. Like, make it make sense for real. This doesn't, so I hear it on that one for real.
Yeah. Because we kind of move into like, Don't Hurt Yourself, and she's, the emotions are like building. She's like, keep your money, I've got my own.
No, but who?
I think that it's at that exact moment she realized, damn, I'm Beyonce. I'm actually Beyonce. Like, literally.
That's what Don't Hurt Yourself is. Because I think like, because from then on it kind of stays. From then on it becomes about her. Because I think Hold Up and Pray You Catch Me, the only two songs that are really, and Don't Hurt Yourself, that are really about him. But like Don't Hurt Yourself is really like, okay, so interesting. Me, Beyonce. Beyonce, like me, you actually went and you did, like literally you went and you did this, like raw, like okay, cool. Like is that real, like anger at the fact that like I actually didn't deserve this. And I think like from Hold Up, like you can hear her questioning herself, like, okay, so is it me? Okay, if you add this up, then maybe you're still mad. It's like she's going back and forth, but don't hate yourself. It's like it's like did not deserve this whatsoever. Like you messed up. Like who why? Like, and the thing is, the lyrics are very repetitive and in the way that they're delivered as well. And I think the drum beats at the beginning, it's just like she just steps in, like, okay, look.
Shout out to Jack White, man.
Jack White,
shout out to Jack White because like you just know, like, and she bounces in JJ to that because I think there's a level of anger where it's like it becomes cockiness a little bit. It's like
100%.
It's like I did not deserve that. Like there's no way you actually crunch these numbers that this was something that's supposed to have happened to me because I have done this for you. Like I am your wife. Like I've been here X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. This might have happened the way you like, and so I still do this, and this. So like it's just that like the anger was just a complete white ball of energy, and like that's what you can hear in that song completely. And fam, like I think the delivery is really special on that one as well. Like
so good
to not be singing, to not be rapping, to not even be singing, rapping. Like what is that delivery? Like it's like she took rock, she took hip hop, she took like R&B, and she made it this like complete, like bouncy. I don't know what it is. So this day, every time I hit it, like yo,
I think this shows the power of Lemonade in terms of it being experimental. Cause I know a lot of people don't actually associate with it being experimental, but this is the song where I was like, wow, like she's really going all, like she's not even half doing it. She's going all.
It's got those like synthy organs that are like and then
it's just honestly, I think for me this is like I think this is the song that made me feel like, okay, like from here on out, like we're gonna get a different Beyonce, probably just discography wise for the rest of Beyonce's career, because she's never laid it out on wax the way she has here. Because you're on like song 3 or 4, you're like, okay, fuck, like, because the thing is, she's not gonna be like the little pop girl and be nice about it. It's like, no, who the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, and the progressions throughout the song as well, it's like she's realizing it herself. And do you know what I mean? Which makes the song so, like, I think it was amazingly well done. But one thing I want to get to quickly, right, is the video for this one. I think this one's really interesting. So obviously this is the cover of the album, right? She's wearing these like golden brown braids. She has this big fur coat, but she says something. And I was thinking, why is the cover like this, right? But then she has a lyric on this song where it's like, beautiful mane, I'm the lion. And I was like, oh shit, she's acting like a lion. Like that's kind of it, like that aggressiveness. And obviously box braids are kind of seen as like a sign of like aggressiveness. Like, but obviously we know it's not, but people are like, black woman braids, like, do you know what I mean? Gel braids, whatever. So I think she was kind of like fully getting to that character, like raw, like kind of like not like a lion's roar, but kind of something like that. She's just, I don't know, what do you kind of get from the video for that? Do you kind of get what I'm saying?
You know what? I think the video is shot in a basement, like an abandoned. It starts with like the night camera as well. Like you can see the people there underground. Like there's a bunch of these women that just standing there. You can only see like the heat radiation. It's one of them night heat cameras where like it picks up bodily heat rather than actual picture. And I was just like, do you know what? That's it. He's like, all that's here is anger, white rage. Like that's really what the tone is set from the beginning. You see the water dripping at the beginning and she kind of walks in. The whole video is not actually at the same speed of the song. Like it's actually slower than the song is going. I didn't know. So it's like you see her moving. Like there's never a time where she's like kind of moving in real time. I don't know. To this day, I'm still trying to understand how they match the sound to the actual footage properly, because it's very hard to do for you to look like you're in slow mo but still be on the song's actual rhythm. Tempo, So she kind of steps in, and I just think like the vibe that she was trying to go for was, it is that rage thing, but it's the rage. It's like you didn't deserve me in the first place, right? You got me, and then you still did this. It's like, okay, cool. Like you actually need a little bit of a reminder who you're dealing with, because I think even coming from Hold Up as well, like Hold Up, there is still that element of like trying to cover it up and trying to be happy over it. You know, trying to be happy over it and everything. But this one, she's like, she draws him out completely. She's like God complex. You think you're Malcolm X, like you think you invented things, like who even are you? Like at the end of the day, I'm the one that did, like, you get what I'm saying? Like who would you be? She drew him out on the thing, and I think like that level of anger, like that level of spelling it out, like you said, we never heard it from Beyonce. Like there was just always this like perfectionist aspect of, you know, the polished aspects of who she was and all that kind of stuff. So I think this video just served as a complete icebreaker. She was like, you know what, let's be honest here.
Let's talk about it.
Let's actually talk about it. Like, let's actually talk about who you are and like how this goes beyond this one act. Like I've put up with shit before this.
Yeah,
I put up with shit before this. I put up with shit up to this, and now you need to tell me that you've been doing what with who? It's the with who bit, because like you go like at the end, she's like, if you try this again, like, and I think it's very important. Like a lot of people forget that she did say that. Like again, like I might be making this decision right now, even in this blind anger. I know I'm still gonna try and work through this because XYZ reasons I'm gonna go on and explain. But in this moment, I'm letting you know, like, you're going to lose your wife and I'm going to be the only wife you'll ever have. Like, and to say, like, your wife, like, not just a wife or your babe or whatever, like, you're going to lose the one person that you know gave you all of this. Like, and I think, I don't know, I think the delivery is very simple. Like, just the basement, you can even see the drummer drumming. Like, it's very performative and it's very, like, live show-esque in the way that she kind of delivers it. And I think it's the most honest moment in the project, in the sense that like the anger is unfiltered. Like she didn't, like she went in the booth and she wrote that song and she was pissed off and she put it out the way she wrote it, and you can hear it. And I think that's why she probably chose not to sing on it, because I think like a certain type of like rapping and like
singing just didn't fit. Kind of
it wouldn't have fit. It wouldn't have fit. Like she's like, nah, my voice is too sweet for this one. Like he doesn't deserve it. Like I'm gonna growl this the whole way. Like it's only she starts to sing at the end, but even then, like she's just screaming. Yeah, and like you can hear the guitar auto-tune like, kind of over her voice. Like it's just, I love that song. I really love that song.
It kind of reminds me of when Rihanna dropped "Bitch Better Have My Money," and she was so pissed off at everything that's going on. She couldn't even sing it. It was just like I kind of had to rap it. Like it's just I'm that pissed off. So no, I 100% get you. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about you know, honesty and all of that. We go into the next song where, you know, it's kind of like she's calmed down and it's not like she's backpedaling anymore. I mean, she's like basically like, I ain't sorry. I know what I said. I said what I said. Word to Nini. Like I said what I said. So yeah, John, what are your thoughts on song?
Yeah, I had a question actually, which was more about like the video for this one. So as a photographer yourself, Paula, like what does this? I think this was the only black and white video.
Yeah, sorry, it's black and white, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, what does that, as a photographer yourself, like when you look at it, what does that add to it? What does it take away? How does it like frame emotion more or less?
I don't know. I think black and white photography, I think it depends on what removing color from the situation kind of does. I've always looked at it that way, because like a lot of times it's like, okay, black and white is more a remover of color, right? So you've chosen to take the brightness out of it. And I think all she was trying to say with the whole way the visuals come out was just, I don't actually care to like be whoever you think I am or whoever I've been or all of that kind of stuff. Like that's all gone. Like even now that you're telling me sorry, I can't even hear you. Like leave me alone. Like it's a kind of like I need to rebuild sense, and like you can only start from the scratch when it's time to rebuild at the end of the day. So I think it's like that stripping back completely. I don't think she's even wearing makeup in some of the shots. Like you can see that she just got her cornrows. They're in the back of that bus. They all just throw middle fingers up. She's just like, just leave me alone. Like I need a second, and what you're not going to.
She's like ignoring her phone and stuff, isn't she?
Yeah,
it's like blowing up
and stuff. Like, yeah, she's got Serena Williams in the video for no reason because she can. You know, like just all that kind of stuff. Like, and I think I just really liked it. I think there's a lot of obviously symbolism at the beginning with like the tribal marks that you can see on like some of the dances at the beginning, like when in the bus and stuff. And then there's a poetry that kind of leads into it. But she kind of walks into the mansion. She's got another fur coat on because why not? So does Serena Williams. It's just about like, it's a really don't care attitude. And I think like with any extra any extra color in the scene, it might not have added to it much, because you can even see the costume. They're wearing black anyway. The location doesn't seem very color. It's like an old mansion type thing. If I remember,
southern, like stately home.
Yeah, southern stately. So I think it was a case of, you know what, let's just take that all away. Like, this is not, I'm not joking here. I'm being serious. Like, leave me alone. Like, leave me alone. And I think, like, in that leave me alone, in that, like, I'm just not gonna care. I'm just gonna, you know, say it as it is and like be present in whatever it is I'm feeling right now. Whether it's anger, whether it's F off, whether it is, you know, whatever it is, she's going to do her right now. She's going to get in that plane with her child, and you're going to hear from her for a few months. I think that level of, I don't give a fuck, like, leave me alone right now. I think that's kind of where she's at with the video. And I think being black and white kind of, it takes away from distractions. It really gets to the point. You really can only look at the silhouettes and the different type of, like, imagery that is right there, rather than getting distracted with the colors and the hues. I think especially with cinematography as well, when you do color grade things and things have, like, you can see like a sunset, the scene's a bit dull or it's a bit bright, you kind of do get an emotion like tied across you. But with black and white, you kind of have to just focus on what is happening and what is being said and what is being, like, done and depicted in the scene. I think when you can just focus on her, like, just being outside with those people as well, being in the mansion of Serena or whatever, it's a very, like, just look at me, I don't care. Like, I think it was kind of that focus that she wanted. I love Sorry. I think it's so fun. Like, I really like that it's there. I think it was an important song to be there, because it's like, I'm not, there's nothing I have to apologize for, and you're not even gonna, with your apologies, I'm not even interested at this moment, and you're gonna wait till I want to hear that shit.
I thought I know there was like an article that Tope sent me. I'm sure he has more to say about it because he's read it all, but like there's someone called like Cherokee Washington. She wrote this like kind of thesis basically about how Lemonade is, one of the things it's doing is like expanding the definition for what like black rage can be, because, you know, up until a time it's just like reserved for men, and that's why I thought Serena Williams was like intentionally used in this video, because the way she's been like caricatured in the media by like Australian newspapers after, like, you know, she gets angry in a court, which everyone does, but she's kind of like caricatured because she's a black woman who's angry, and that's, you know, by modern standards, that's like still not acceptable. So I think that's why Serena Williams was there, because this is one of those songs where, you know, they're expressing this anger, which people, like a lot of people, are obviously not accepting of still.
That's definitely a very good point, especially like being Serena Williams and like being subjected to all the criticism for just being angry in a time where anger makes sense, and everybody else is allowed to show the anger, but me as a black woman, it's an issue, or it's aggressive, or it's whatever. And I also think, like, adding again to the whole black and white issue, like, it is a little bit harsher on the eyes, and like it's like it's played into everything that you are trying to use against me. I'm just gonna play into it right now, and I'm gonna tell you that even in all of this, I don't care. Like, and like I think again, it's very important for like just for black women to be given the space and not to care, and like to be given our own space to be pissed off, or to be nonchalant, or to be aggressive if we want to be aggressive, because we always have an aggressive put on us, but like sometimes aggression is required and we shouldn't be penalized extra for that aggression.
Sometimes choose violence, man.
Yeah, choose violence. Actually say I'm choosing it, and you're not gonna chat. You're not gonna say nothing either. I'm sorry.
No, 100%. No, I think you guys hit the nail on the head with the Serena thing. I feel like I think her dancing was, I think because the chapter of the song is called Apathy, right? So obviously just not giving a fuck about anything that's going on. And I think with Serena Williams, she's also kind of similar to Beyoncé. She's always had to kind of put up an image, right? Like, oh, you know, I'm just that amazing tennis player. I go out, you know, do my job, whatever. And the moment she kind of showed something different, it was like, what the fuck? Who is this? So I think they were like, fuck it, let's have her dance and let's have her do something that she's not usually doing, because why not? You know what I mean? Like, just that feeling of, I don't really give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with me dancing? Nothing, really. Do you know what I mean? I think the house that they're in, I know they're in a mansion. I think it's an old plantation building. I don't know why. I don't know what that symbolizes, but I was like, okay, I thought that was interesting as well, because obviously she's in the throne, in some sort of throne, and obviously you have like Serena Williams just, fucking around. I don't know necessarily what I meant, but yeah.
It's like I saw a picture of it in an article, but yeah, it's like a old southern plantation house.
And I think like a lot of, image makers, like I can kind of see when if I was to decide to shoot something on a plantation, I can see what was probably going on this plantation at a different time. And then I can see myself here taking this photo as a Black woman, having the free will to just take this photo of other Black women or make these music videos of other Black women. I think it's a very like powerful moment that kind of resonates, with you in terms of like, like you kind of can see the past, you see the present. It's like, okay, there is a little bit of a distance and things have changed a little bit, no matter how much we still feel we have to work on. Like there is some power we have today, and like holding on to that power that you have today and being able to do what they did at that specific location and film this video that's gonna make them a shit ton of money. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot like that goes into that psychologically, especially as like Black Americans,
for sure.
And like I was just gonna say like I feel like this song and the next couple of songs, like the southern imagery, or like she's obviously going back home and there's like montage footage of her being back in like Houston, Texas, where she grew up, and then there's kind of references to like New Orleans in later photos, and she's just like really like digging into like going back to where it all began, basically in her childhood, which is really interesting, especially with like with Daddy Lessons, right? Like it's a really like bluesy kind of like country song, right?
I like how you just skipped 6 inch. So are we all in agreement?
No,
the song of the album.
I didn't intentionally skip it. I was trying to. The point was, I was bringing it in because the southern. She's like drags out her syllables. She's like uses a bit of like.
I'm not a fan personally.
She draws out her syllables, which is a bit kind of southern, so that's why I was like linking it in.
I love the I would call it the bridge, but I could be wrong because the song is a little bit weirdly structured. But it's like stars in her eyes, she finds it. I love that bit. I think the melody is so nice and it's big. And
do you like Weekend on it?
I mean, I don't really like. Sure, feed the Weekend. Let's do it. Like I don't really like with the Weekend. He's an interesting character in music for me. I think it makes sense to an extent, but at the end of the day, like
this was like beauty behind the madness.
I do think there are other options that could have worked. No feature as well would have probably not been the worst thing either. There's a lot to consider there. However, the song in itself, like 6 inch, I like what it is. It's like, like just talking about her, like, I work hard, I make money, this is me, like, and like, what is it I'm doing this for? Like I do all this work, and like, this is how I feel at home with my relationship, this is how I feel as a mother, and this is how I feel as a person. What does that all mean? I think it's a bit of an existential crisis type of song. And I think every song had its place. Like I don't, as much as you might say it's your least favorite song, and I do think I hear people say that a lot. I personally gravitated towards it, but then kind of fell out of love with it the more I listened.
Do you think it's the most relatable song?
For me, Love Drought. To this day, if I scream, they'll say I'm mad. If I actually screamed, they'll say I'm mad.
What is it about Love Drought then?
She said 9 times out of 10, I know you're trying.
But 10
times out of 9, I know you're lying. So I'm trying to be fair. And you're trying not to care. No, sorry, get out of here. It's the lyrics to me.
No, it's true. The verses on this are so good.
It's so good, and to me, like, it speaks to me emotionally as well. I think because she said, "Wait," it's like that the complete tug of war that's going on in your head. It's like, "Wait, I'm trying, but you're lying," and it's like, "Wait, what did I do wrong?" And then she goes, "I already asked that. My bad." Like I remember when she said that. I paused the song. I said, "You know what? Beyonce, I know you know that you're the best at everything, but please, like, give me a second to just, like, it was literally, because, like, she asked it the first time, and then she's like, you know what, like, there's actually no point asking this question, like, and that, like, dialogue in a song where it's like you can hear her just speaking to herself, speaking to the situation, speaking to everything. It was just so emotional, and, like, you can hear her, like, actually, wow, I still love you. Like, oh my God, like, even all of this, like, this is where I still am in, like, all this emotion. Like, we've gone through the anger, and I've not cared. I've cared. I've left with my baby. I've gone around the globe. You know, I've run away from you. I've come back. And it's like, I'm still here, like, trying to crunch the numbers and just, like, ask what I did wrong. But it's like, wait, I've asked that, and there's no point asking this anymore. And it's like, the lyrics were so plain and simple and, like, straight to the point in terms of the like, gravity of the heartbreak she was feeling. It's too much to ignore. I think that's one of my favorite Beyonce ballads. Like, she went nuts on that one, in my opinion.
Facts. John
Tell me, what did I do wrong?
I mean, yeah, even the cinematography, right? Like, I think there's a part of the film where, like, she's tied to a rope and then someone else is there. She's just, like, leaning back and the rope is still tied. Like, I think it's exactly what you're talking about. Like, yeah, the song's insane. The song's absolutely insane.
The Love Dry is an insane song. Like, everyone shine your eye for real. Because I don't want to, you know what, like, now we're in the age of, like, a lot of people, we're losing a lot of people, like, let's be real. Like, I think, like, I honestly feel like the Black community has been mourning for, like, 2 years straight now, like, consistently, just one person after another, just people in general, like, with the whole COVID stuff and everything, like, just loss has been existential. So I'm trying to be, like, very present with my appreciation for the people that I feel like have just done something in a what's the word, sector that I love. Like, music is something I love, and film is something I love. And, like, God forbid, but if something were to happen to Beyonce, everyone, even all you haters, I see you on the TL, all of you would be like, that was a legend, that's our queen. Like, let's appreciate her now for real. Like, let's actually sit down and, like, understand what it means, what entertainment means and music means to humans as a whole, and therefore consider what her contribution to that was and what that actually means to human race. Like, as I don't know, like, I think we really need to not take it lightly as a real, like, I'm a proper Beyonce stan, but, like, I really feel like it's a logical thing to be. This
makes sense,
stan.
doesn't
Like, it just makes sense. Like, think about it, guys. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Great song. Yeah. Should we kind of talked about sound courses quite a lot. Should we go on to forward with Res?
Oh, your boy. Yeah, just for context, Paula, like, James Blake is John's guy.
This is,
so
I hear
I feel you overplay it, but I love him. I love him, yeah.
He said, no, I'm not gonna front, that's the love of my life still. Like, I'm not gonna lie, James Blake, if you're listening, I'm pouring out your heart. I saw that. I
do love him. I do love him. But yeah, he's like isn't he? He's like the ultimate sad white.
He's the white man Beyonce to you.
No, I didn't say that. I said the ultimate sad white man singer.
White Sampha, more like.
Yeah, the white Sampha. We'll give him that. But yeah, it's very short.
It's very.
Is it the right choice?
I love it. It's very interlude-y.
It's very interlude, isn't it?
I think if James Blake and Beyonce were gonna make a song, this is what I expected it to sound like. Like, I think it made sense. I think the collaboration was beautiful. I think it was the right length. I personally don't know what Going On Longer would have done for the song, or do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not, you know, when you hear short songs and you're like, you know, when you hear short songs, you're like, I could have done with another minute. Shout out to, like, Break from Toronto by Party Next Door or something, where you can, like, one more minute, it wouldn't have hurt, you know. But, like, this one, it definitely, I think it was, I've always tried to understand what it meant in terms of, like, in the flow of the album, because it really is a transitionary song. Like, it's like, you know what, let's move forward, you know.
It feels really like, because obviously James Blake, like, he's had like 2 or 3 solid, like, sad albums, and obviously his most recent album, Assume Form, gentle plug, but good album, but, like, definitely more like, so much more positive. Like,
damn,
the love of his what?
No, because obviously I've only heard Assume Form, right? I'm like, damn, this guy is upset, fam. Like,
what?
That's the happiest one. Fuck. Sorry, go on.
He's in love. He's like, if you go to LA, I'll fly too.
Yeah, he did say that, but still.
But yeah, so I feel like he's a good choice for this because it's like, you know, we've kind of hit the turning point in the album, but there are still those lingering feelings. So it's obviously going to be a bittersweet feeling. It's not like she's turned the corner and she's like, oh, I'm all in, I'm all positive, this is going to be great. But like the resurrection.
It's like best foot forward, just in case. It's like, oh, you're right. Yeah, it's
so
like
corny,
just,
bro.
It's corny, but like I think it works. You know what I'm saying? Like it really is a very literal album. Like, it's cool. Like you don't really have to read too hard to like see the way that was. And it's like, you know what? If I'm here, like, let me at least put my best foot forward and see this out. If I actually get messed up again, then I'm really the one that has to smoke the L at the end of the day, because you do, if you trust someone again and they mess up, it's you that has to make it.
Facts. No, and I think that's why it comes right after Sandcastles. So I think that obviously when I've spoken to you now, listen, like, this is how I feel, this is what it is. And I think they've kind of, you know what I mean? She's kind of gone through everything. They've spoken about it. Okay, it's not perfect, but let's start again. And that's why we kind of got forward. And then I think once they've moved forward and it's like, okay, all this shit. But I think one thing to know about Lemonade, right? Because this came out, it seems to have come out years after they've dealt with shit, or at least a good year or so after they've dealt with shit. So it's like, and I think what you said before, I didn't think of it, like songs like Freedom, I don't think you're able to make that if there's not time that has passed after the situation. Because now Freedom is now like, I think you can't go from Sandcastles to Freedom. It's too dramatic. You need something to kind of link the two together. And I think Freedom's now like, wow, like we can actually do this. Like, you know, I break chains for myself and shit like that. You know, does that kind of make sense? You know, you think it that way, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think Freedom is an interesting song. I've always because even in the film, it kind of does fit oddly, because like all of the stuff is happening in it. It comes across a bit more like, you know, sit down performance. Like you see all the people wearing what they're wearing, and it's like, it's definitely more of a like community moment. I felt like
100%.
Freedom. Like I think the way I've always taken away from it is like, it's very it's like an anthem for you as an individual and us as a people. Like, look, at the end of the day, like we have to advocate for ourselves, and you know, if you want to be free, so it's a situation of you putting in the effort too, because it's not going to be given to you. So I think from that more political aspect, especially having someone like Kendrick on a song, like, you know what I mean? Like he always comes with his serious bars and everything. I love Kendrick Lamar, by the way. That's
that sounded shady.
It sounded shady, but everything I say sounds shady. Like people do.
J. Cole be serious bars, mate.
J. Cole. Anyway,
that's a different one.
Different conversation. Yeah, so like I think in terms of the kind of where the song fell in the film, especially, it did feel very more like preachy a little bit, a little bit more like trying to make a bit of a bigger message in terms of the people and everything like that. But I also think like on a more personal level, I think, yeah, you're right. It was definitely one of those like anthems that was supposed to be taken in on an individual level as well and everything. Yeah, I mean, I really like Freedom. It's a song that it gets me live. I think it's excellent live. Anytime she performs Freedom with the water coming down and everything, and she be kicking it, I'm like, yo, there she is. Like, it's such a big song, and I think it makes sense for her and Kendrick to be on a record like that, for real. But
I mean, speaking of water, Kendrick absolutely washes this entire song, in my opinion. I mean, without him, this song is not nearly as good. Sorry.
Because he's probably in the studio sessions for To Pimp a Butterfly at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, no, after. It's just after. But yeah, he's just... Yeah, because it came out 2016, this one, isn't it?
I know, but the recording was...
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, probably, yeah. He's in his prime, innit? Like, he's just...
Yeah.
Man, that verse is... The whole countdown shit, fuck me, man. Like...
I didn't get into it.
Kendrick is no one's mate in the thing, man. He's definitely...
like, he's actually no one's mate, so yeah.
He's a madman. But I do think, like... I don't know, like, the song in itself is... I think what Beyonce brings to it is important. Like, I think the melody of the song is very rich and it's very heavy and it's very large. I do think it's still like if it was just Kendrick's verse, I don't think the song would have necessarily resonated the way it did.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but you're right. Kendrick smoked the thing. I'm not gonna front.
Yeah, it seems like it does seem like a natural combination. Like the combination makes sense, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you've obviously got Just Blaze producing this song. So you know it's gonna be good.
Bombastic.
Yeah.
It's just so big and the instruments. I love when like things come together so cohesively.
Yeah.
In that way, yeah.
But I like it a lot. I mean, it's like so much more outward looking. Like she situates her own her own situation, and then looks at the present, right, with the kind of the mothers there, and then also kind of looks back as she's saying, you know, like cut me loose, which can obviously mean present as well, right? But there's definitely like a reference to kind of like the history of slavery.
I think I kind of agree, like, because she even says like, Lord forgive me, I've been running blind in truth. I think this is one of those songs where if you don't have the video, you're like, what the fuck? I thought we were talking about a cheating nigga for like the past 30 minutes. Like, what's going on here? And I think, I kind of get what Paul is saying, where it's kind of like, it kind of felt like it was there for political sake rather than this is thematically what we need right now in this album. So it's kind of hard to, I think when I look at it that way, it's like, oh man, like it's not that great, but by itself, I get it. But I think with the video, right? Because I think what was interesting, I still won't fully get it because she has like the old and young, like she has like Chloe and Halle there and all that stuff. But then she also has like the older people. And I think she is trying to be like, I think she's kind of said, okay, I'm kind of breaking the chains of the older people and I'm kind of encouraging the young to do the same. That's kind of what I got from it. But yeah, I think thematically it's slightly a little bit off.
I think it's okay to admit that.
Yeah, 100%.
But I do think similar to Formation as well. Like, it does have that, like, you know what, this is all part of it at the end of the day. Like, if we're looking at the bigger picture, like on an individual level as Black women, and then like you look at the bigger picture as like a society or you know, generation wide or whatever you want to look at things, like, yeah, I think it makes sense in that front. But was it necessary to like the story of her and the love and everything? Not necessarily.
I think you could have went straight to All Night, to be honest, and it would have been fine. Yeah.
It would have actually worked very well straight to All Night.
Yeah. To be honest.
But yeah.
Good, very good song. We were mentioning before, all right, like the trumpet sample from Outkast song Spotty Otti Delicious.
What a fucking good song that is.
Yeah, which is just like, and it just feels like
don't get me started.
Another reference to like the South again. Obviously Outkast, you know, being like the dirty South. I love the trumpets. I love the way that song sounds.
Feels like a victory.
Yeah, I love how it builds. It's very romantic as well in like in terms of the way the melody moves. And I think I love that song, and I think it was such a brilliant like conclusion, really, like in terms of the way the album had moved. And at the end of the day, like it really is about like just loving this person and like moving through whatever that journey of love brings to you. Should it end, cool. Should you decide to keep moving, cool. But like it's just like, I think the song is, if I love when songs feel like the emotion that they're trying to convey. And it really, All Night 100% feels like that. Okay, let's rest a little bit. Like let's just like feel this love and like be happy in the fact that I do still love you, and like we still are trying, and we are still trying to move forward with this. And like you said, with all the different types of couples that were in it and all that kind of stuff, like at the end of the day, like when you love somebody, it really is a choice, and whatever society may bring at you with like being a queer couple, for example, or whatever you may face within your own relationship, like whatever the obstacle is, like love is the reason why you keep choosing. Very moist. But,
a good comparison I saw actually was with so you know that bar she is kind of repeating All Night Long, Sweet Love, All Night Long. As soon as I heard it, I went back to have a look, and it reminds me of her song Drunk in Love, where they're like, we be all night.
Oh yeah, I think definitely does that right.
It feels like there's she's bringing that back, and
I think it's
also with I was going to say with the visuals as well, like
that's where I was going. Yeah,
similar to
like in the stadium and everything like that. Yeah, because it feels like we won the Super Bowl type of shit. Do you know what I mean? It gives that feeling. Yeah. It is quite sweet to this. Like they're all like, especially after Sandcastles, right? They're like, it looks like man, shit. Is it ever gonna get better? And then they're laughing, and the kids are there, and it's like, okay, actually, we're all good over here. Kind of thing. So yeah. No,
is this the video where she's kind of like wearing that same dress and is in a kind of similar setting to the first chapter, Intuition, which I don't know whether that was
similar. I think
deeper than.
I mean, with Beyonce, I probably like I know there's like 60 million decisions she probably made that we would just.
I'm sure there's live cyclical with that kind of.
I definitely think there's like she's very meticulous, and the team she picks as well. She picks people who are like better at her, whatever she wants them to do. I think that's such that's a way to always assure excellence when you work with people that you know are just better at you, whatever it is they do. Like, 100%. I'm sure she works with sick cinematographers, sick storytellers, all that kind of stuff who can like bring whatever she's got in her mind out in a way that's better than she would have been able to do by herself. So I do think like that all plays a part. But yeah, I think the way the film closes and everything, it made sense. Like it felt whole and it felt like a completion for real. And I think All Night was the perfect ending to that.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, we kind of touched about everything, really. I mean, is there any other closing thoughts you have on the record?
I mean, I was sitting here thinking, like, ooh, is it really Beyonce's best record? I still can't answer that question still. Like, I don't know why. Because I think, I honestly think Self-Titled is a masterpiece. I'm not going to front. Like, I think it's so interesting, like, in terms of the way it just sounds. Like, to have an album with songs like Jealous and Pretty Hurts with on the same album as songs like Blow and like
7-11
like 7-11, like she's just like interesting funk. Like she was just so experimental at that time, and like I really fucks with it. And even moving on to her later stuff, like Everything Is Love is part of her discography and The Gift as well. Like there is a very like intentional approach that she has to whatever body of work she's making. Like there's consistent thematic like stuff that goes on, and it's just I appreciate artistry the way Beyonce goes about it. Like she cares, like she really gives a fuck about the shit that she puts out, and like that's all I think I've ever wanted from an artist. That's all I think you can want from an artist. So yeah, like Lemonade is that bitch, man. Let's be real.
You heard it here first, son. Heard it here first.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing, isn't it?
So that's a good way to end it. That should be a title of the episode. Lemonade is just that bitch.
It's that bitch. It really is.
That's it, really. To be honest. But yeah, no, I mean, let's tie up there, John. Let's do it. Go on.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, Paula, first of all, where can people find you? You know, if they want to come to you for.
I mean, if they don't know her already, like, she's in the streets. She's in the streets.
I'm out in the streets, apparently. But at Narcography on IG. Well, that did not. That was not the double entendre, as it were. At Narcography on Instagram and at Narcography _ on Twitter. On narcography.com to see my work and all the photography shindigs. No Signal Radio Monday 7 p.m. Super album. The Playback Pod. We're on a current hiatus, but we'll be back when we feel like it. We were just like, you know what? Let's take a minute from this. But yeah, we'll be back whenever. Yeah, so catch me on socials. This place. Yeah, thank you guys for having me as well. Really fun.
Yeah, I mean, before we close out, as per usual, we close out with our Now and Then playlist. We had a song from, Throwback, and we had a new song that's kind of come out quite recently. So to give you time, our guests always feel mad pressure to do this, right? So
I've got to tell how people are going to like judge me on these two songs.
Yeah, literally, like some people were like, I thought about this all week. Like I was like, that's all right. Like it's actually all right. So John, you go first. What's your
cool? I'm going to start with my then song is 2000 Seasons by Talib Kweli.
Okay.
Yeah. And my now song is, I think I'm going to go with Appraise by Hit Boy and White Dave. It's from the Judas and Black Messiah soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And obviously Hit Boy, He actually produced a song on Lemonade, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one though.
I think it was one of the middle tracks. But yeah, that's my now song.
Okay.
What are you picking, Tope?
I think my now song will be that Freddie Gibbs song. I think we spoke about it like a week ago, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so Big Boss Rabbit. Come on. No, I ain't gonna say much, man. If you know, you know. My then song. Oh, fuck. I feel like the then songs are harder, but I'm gonna go
because you've got like 30 years to pick from.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But I'm gonna go Blossom Theory by Ravyn Lenae. I'm gonna go there. I like that song.
Okay.
So yeah, go on.
My now song, I feel like I'm changing it. I said something earlier, but I've changed it now. There's a lot of pressure. I don't know why I feel pressure. I'm gonna go Inside by Steve Lacy. I think that song is just incredible, and it's just been, I've been replaying it loads recently. I'm a big Steve Lacy fan, so
best thing on the Inside,
that one
for sure.
Yeah. And and my then song, I'll go Coming From DMX and Mary J. Blige. Rest in peace to a legend.
Great choices. Cool. Well, yeah, obviously you can find these playlists with our choices this week on Spotify. You can obviously see our Spotlight series as well, where we have 3 songs from a new artist every single week. And, you know, if you've got some takes that we didn't cover today, or you've got some, I don't know, you've seen Tope and the wild things he tweets, and you wanna let us know. Let us know on finalcollectivepod@gmail.com and at TVC Pod on Twitter, and the Vinyl Collective and Vinyl Collective Pod on Instagram.
You know, I'm just gonna write a little about that. Do you know what's so fucking annoying about TVC Pod, right? Because you know Twitter has like the character limit, and it's just the last character that misses out. That's why we can't have Vinyl Collective Pod. So you have to have some shit like TVC Pod. Annoying. So fucking annoying. But whatever. I just wanted to get out there. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, thanks Paul again for coming on. We'll see you guys next week. Don't know what episode it'll be, but whatever. You'll see us whenever. Ciao for now. Peace.